Today, we're going to rank every red tech part in Survivor.io on a tier list from best to worst or worst to best. For more Survivor.io videos, like and subscribe. Starting off with the phase converter. The phase converter has two skills: lightning emitter, bolt count at all levels +2, and Supercell X, generated shockwave spread, distance doubled. We're essentially going to get extra bolts with the lightning emitter, and that will cause additional damage. And once you evolve the lightning emitter into the supercell, the shockwaves that travel off of the lightning bolts will travel a further distance, and this can help them hit more targets. I think the phase converter is pretty good, but for right now, I'm going to stick it in the B tier, right in the middle. Next, we have the Antimatter Generator. The Antimatter Generator has two skills: drill shot, drill flight speed +30%, and whistling arrow X, light and shadow at once, get 2 arrows. So the first skill is essentially going to increase the speed of the drill shot. That can help it be more accurate and hit more targets. And the last skill down here will give us 2 whistling arrows opposed to just 1. This is actually a pretty great skill against bosses, and I've actually used it in the final battle event very effectively. I like the Antimatter Generator with the whistling arrow. I'm going to stick it in the A tier. It can cause a lot of damage, and I think it's very effective against bosses. Next, we have the Manobot tech part. The first skill says Durian, flight control. Durian won't stray too far from you. And the legendary skill is Caltrops X, iron and blood. Spikes also inflict bleed. When you equip an excellent and above Manobot tech part, the Durian will fly around your survivor opposed to all over the map. So it kind of turns into a close combat skill. Once you evolve the Durian into the Caltrops, it's going to launch spikes at the enemies. And the Nanobot will apply bleed to the spikes, causing the enemy to slowly lose HP over time. There is certainly a use for the Nanobot tech part, but for now I'm going to stick it in the C tier. I like the ones above it a little bit more. Next, we have the Conduction Device. Boomerang. You can collect the boomerang to reset its cooldown. And the last skill down here says Magnetic Rebounder X EM Induction. Rebounder generates lightning arcs. With this first skill right here, whenever you run into the boomerang, you can essentially reset its cooldown, and it will launch another boomerang. And the red skill will give the Magnetic Rebounder little lightning trails that follow the darts around. Now it can hit targets surrounding your survivor in pretty much a 360-degree radius. But that still doesn't make it very effective. I'm going to stick the Conduction Device in the D tier. Now we have the Gravity Controller. Brick, heavy like it. Brick penetrates all enemies. The last skill down here says 1 ton iron X, light as a feather. 1 ton iron, spin as they fly out. At an excellent grade, the brick can penetrate through multiple targets, causing damage along the way. And at a red grade, once you evolve the brick into the 1 ton iron, the irons will spin as they are launched out. This can actually help you hit a lot of targets, and I find it kind of effective in vertical chapters if you want to chase the 1 ton irons. I might like the Gravity Controller more than most players. I'm going to stick it in the B tier. I really do find the Gravity Controller very effective against mobs. It's a great mob killer. Next, we have the Exo-skeleton, and the Exo-skeleton has 2 skills, starting with Guardian, knockback distance doubled, and Defender X, Defender spreads out and retreats. The first skill is going to increase the knockback distance of the Guardian. Once evolved, the tops are going to get smaller, but they will retract out and come back, which can hit more targets. I do find the Exo-skeleton somewhat useful. However, I'm going to stick it in the B tier for now. Next, we have the Energy Cube. Force Field, energy compression, range shrinks 25%, damage doubled. And then Force Barrier X, mobs that die in radius grant bonus EXP. With the Energy Collector, the Force Barrier is going to shrink, but it will cause more damage. And once you evolve it and kill enemies inside the radius of the Force Barrier, the mobs will grant bonus EXP, helping you level up your skills faster. The Energy Collector is often ineffective because you're not always going to evolve the Force Barrier right away, so there's really not much of a use for it. Next, we have the High Maintainer. RPG, shot cooldown, -0.5 seconds, and Shark Maw Gun X, double shots, fires 2 shots each time. This is pretty self-explanatory. The RPG cooldown is going to be reduced by 0.5 seconds, and you will get 2 RPGs once you evolve the Shark Maw Gun opposed to just 1. It's going to fire 2 RPGs at once. This is hands down one of the best tech parts to kill farm with. You can certainly pick up a lot of kills with the Shark Maw Gun, but I'm going to stick it in the B tier. I think that's a great place. Now we have the Precision Device. Drone, homing, missiles home in on enemies in range, reduced firing rate. And then Destroyer X, new type mounted missile, restores firing rate, missile explosion range doubled. With an excellent and above Precision Device, the missiles launched by the drones will home in on enemies instead of hitting random places all over the map. They will now target enemies, making it a great tech part against bosses. The Precision Device is the best tech part in Survivor.io. I'm going to stick it in the S tier. Nothing else can transform a skill just like it. It's the best tech part and skill to use against bosses and in Ender's Echo. Now we have the Energy Diffuser, and the Energy Diffuser has 2 skills: Molotov, Fire Will Spread, and Fuel Barrel X. Burn to enemies inflicted with deep wounds plus 10% damage taken. With the Energy Diffuser equipped, the fire from the Molotov will spread around the screen a little better and essentially hit more targets. And once you evolve the Molotov into the Fuel Barrel, it will cause even more damage. I'm going to stick the Energy Diffuser in the B tier. I think it's great against mobs, especially if you are using King. You can really get a lot of crits with the flames. Moving on to the Quantum Polarizer. The Quantum Polarizer has 2 skills: Soccer Ball damage plus 30%, and Quantum Ball X. Quantum Ball duration plus 1 second. So not only are you going to drastically increase the damage caused by the soccer balls, you will increase the duration they remain on screen. So you can really hit a lot of targets and get a lot of damage this way. The 2 tech parts I like behind the Precision Device are the Antimatter Generator and Quantum Polarizer. I usually find myself switching between these 2 tech parts. The Antimatter Generator is better at targeting single targets like bosses. I didn't say causing damage, I said targeting. And the Quantum Polarizer can really help you out in a lot of situations. It's good against mobs and single targets as well. Last on the list, we have the Annihilator. Laser Launcher. Lasers slow enemies on hit, and Death Ray X snares enemies, bosses, and elites first. With the Annihilator tech part, the Laser Launcher is going to slow enemies when it hits them, and this can be pretty effective with Red Void Waker Treads, because Red Void Waker Treads have a legendary skill called Predator, which increases proportionate damage against enemies with lower movement speed than you. So the faster you are or the slower the enemy is, the more damage you can cause. The last skill, Death Ray X, will pretty much cut the Death Ray loose. It will start launching all over the map opposed to just over your survivor. I'm going to stick the Annihilator in the C tier. I do see a use for it, but I just personally do not use it as much as I use these ones up here. So here we go, guys. Here is the finished tech part tier list. If you have any questions or tips, or if you would rank anything differently, let's hear it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Smash like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.